When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
Well, good evening. Hello. Bit of a rush there. How's it going? Welcome back to the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, coming at you live from Harbourside from the Harbourside Studios here in South County Down in Warren Point. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all having a good weekend. A beautiful day today, wasn't it? Yes, have to say, really enjoyed getting out and riding my bike. First time without falling off it this week. Big shout out to everyone who's playing tonight. Thank you for tuning in as always. We're going back into a second lockdown. I know it's a little bit scary, or it's kind of a lockdown. It's not like a full-on lockdown. It's like a mini one. But don't worry, Big Nerd Pub Quiz is here to entertain you throughout. And hope you're all well. Hope you're all staying safe. If this is your first time, which I'm sure it isn't. I know there's like a loyal core fan base of people who do play. Then this is how you play Big Nerd Pub Quiz. You know the crack. I've added a new kind of feature to this, actually, to make it all very easier. All you have to do is point your phone at this QR code. Once you click that, open up the link, which is there, and it should open up the Google answer sheet. So yes, give that a try. I'll leave that up for a couple of seconds whilst you guys get your phones out. Scan it and you can play along. It's that easy. Figured I'd close the door there as well. Anyway, so yes, that's the QR code. Once you do that, all you have to do is pop in your email address, answer the multiple choice questions as they come up. 8 rounds, 6 questions each. There's only one correct answer per question. And my decision is final on all of them. Once the quiz is finished, all you have to do is hit submit. Get your scores at the very end, but stick about to see the answers of the quiz. Recommend you that you stream the quiz on a television and play with your phone. Simple. All right. There's the QR code again in case you missed it. Don't forget, if you want to advertise with Harbourside Radio here in Warren Point, our listener figures are through the roof right now. We are getting tons of amazing feedback and loads of fantastic shows going out, including the Big O morning show every weekday from 10. We got Amy's Rock Show. That was the 80s one that was on yesterday. I think she might be doing 90s this week. We'll have to update that. I know she's watching tonight. We got Daryl's songs from the shows, musicals, my other music show. We've got Sports Point. The Blues on the Bay show with Ian Sands, very popular, and loads of dance music programs, all catered for you guys. But yes, do check it out, HarboursideRadio.com. Absolutely amazing stuff that we're doing down here in the Harbourside complex in Warren Point. But yes, that's it from us. That's all the kind of promo I'm to do. Time now is 5 minutes past 8. Like you know, Big Nerd Pub Quiz lasts for just about an hour. So let's get kicked off this week with our first round. Well, I should really change the name of this from general knowledge to kind of just current events, because that's where I get these questions from anyway. But this round is going to test you on how much you've been paying attention to the local news. Another wee thing to notice, no green screen this week because we are getting a brand new green screen installed, which is going to actually go on a rail right behind me. But yeah, it's going to look even better. We're going to tweak the graphics and make the whole program look even more slicker over the next couple of weeks. Big up to the One World guys actually for hosting me there on Friday. Anyway, let's get kicked off with tonight's Big Nerd Pub Quiz on Harbourside Radio. Round 1, question number 1. Let's see how you fare with this one. So, which US band performed a concert this week in Oklahoma City with their audience members all sealed in protective bubbles? So that's round 1, question 1. I've actually seen these guys perform at Electric Picnic, or I think it was Oxygen one year. And you know who they filled in for? They filled in for the White Stripes, which Jack White broke his hand and couldn't perform the concert. But yes, round 1, question 1. Which band performed a concert this week in Oklahoma City with their audience members all sealed in protective bubbles? That's round 1, question 1. My biggest query about that is, how did they manage to go to the bathroom? That's, how did they deal with that? Very, very strong bladders. Anyway, round 1, question 2. Saturday the 3rd of October 2020 was noted by the Met Office for breaking what record in the UK? This is round 1, question number 2. Cast your mind back. You might remember it. It's one of those things. If somebody asked me what were you doing that day, I know it was the day before my mum's birthday, but not too sure. But anyway, Saturday 3rd of October, noted by the Met Office for breaking which record this year? So yes, could be climate change, could be something to do with the environment, but yeah, it's pretty typical for this time of year anyway. Round 1, question 2. I'm gonna get my mic up a little bit closer. Anyway, there we go. So round 1, question 2. Saturday 3rd of October, noted by the Met Office for breaking which record? Round 1, question 3. Which basketball team won the NBA championships this week? It's round 1, question 3. If you listen to Sports Point, you know that the American sport that I'm into, I know a lot of people have their own little American sports which they're keen into, but mine's baseball, and we're currently into the World Series. Tampa Bay beat the Astros in the American League Division Series last night, going through to the World Series. And it's either going to be the LA Dodgers or the Atlanta Braves. Going to meet up with them. Completely different sport though. But which basketball team won the NBA championships this week? LeBron James got the MVP, if that gives you a clue on that one. Let's move on. Round 1, question number 4. Which Pokemon card which sold to rapper Logic at auction this week for a record £173,000? Yeah, we did a Pokemon quiz a couple of months ago. Big up to my buddy Paul who wrote that one. But yes, Pokemon cards. This one here, this particular card, was a super, super rare one. Sold at auction. The rapper actually spent about 20 grand buying an unopened box the day before. And this one was sold, this one particular card, £173,000. If you did collect them back in the 90s, be sure to check your attic or your drawers somewhere, because this could be, you might have this particular card and be sitting on 173 grand. There you are, round 1, question 4. Moving on, round 1, question number 5. Which pair are set to become the first same-sex couple or same-sex pairing on Strictly Come Dancing this year? So, as we know, Bake Off's back, Strictly's back, some semblance of normality in television. But which pair are set to be the first same-sex pair on Strictly Come Dancing this year? Caused some controversy, don't know why. Just did certain members of a certain political party in this country not keen on it, but But anyway, round 1, question 5. Which pair are set to be the first same-sex pair on Strictly this season? That's round 1, question 5. And moving on to the final one of this round. Round 1, question 6. In which city did a painting of a girl with a hula hoop by street artist Banksy appear this week? So it's round 1, question 6. So yeah, there's a way if you want to check if a piece of graffiti pops up in your area, you can actually check it. You can actually email Banksy himself and go, "Is this you?" And he will get back to you and say yes or no. The painting itself was actually covered up by a sheet of plastic, which itself was randomly vandalized again, but cleaned up. But a Banksy on the side of your house can add about 100 grand to it. That's all I'm going to say. But in which UK city did this painting of a girl with a hula hoop appear this week? Really, really cool to see that. Anyway, moving on. That's your roundup there of your round one questions. We'll go over those one more time. So yes, which US band performed a concert this week in Oklahoma City where their audience members sealed in protective bubbles? 2. Saturday the 3rd of October was noted by the Met Office for breaking which record in the UK? 3. Which basketball team won the NBA championships this week? 4. Which Pokemon card was sold to rapper Logic at auction for a record £173,000? 5. Which pair are said to be the first same-sex pair on Strictly Come Dancing this year? And 5. In which city did a painting of a girl with a hula hoop by street artist Banksy appear this week? Alright, give you a couple of seconds to kind of mull over those questions before we move on to the next one. Yep, just to let you know, if you want to get in touch with Jordan at any point of the quiz on all the different social medias here, follow us on Harbourside Radio on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can also follow my page on BigNerdPubQuiz. If you want a shout out, by all means, drop us a line on any of those, and I'll try my best to give you a wee mention at some point in the evening. Alright, so that's one down, 7 to go. Let's move on to the next round. It's all about music. And the source of inspiration for the music round this week, it has to say, definitely came from... I came home last night and my parents were sitting watching a fantastic documentary on Sky Arts all about Motown. About the record, the label, how it was founded, the artists, the groups, the history. And it was, if you haven't seen this documentary, it is unbelievable. It speaks to all the main players in it. And it's just... such an amazing look at a movement, a musical movement, which was created by the black community, really empowered them and put their sound and image and vision on the map. And I have to say, it will make you amazed, it blow you away. But anyway, here we go. All 6 questions are about the record label Motown. So here we go, round 2, question number 1. So who founded Motown Records in Detroit in 1959? The actual name wasn't founded as Motown Records, but didn't become Motown until 1960, I think. We all know Motown. There was a question last week I asked, in which city was it founded? Motown being Detroit, of course, Motor City. But yes, round 2, question 1. Who founded Motown Records in Detroit in 1959? Still alive, aged 90 years old, but it was on the documentary talking about his experiences making the record label. So round 2, question number 1. Round 2, question 2. What was the name of the Motown's in-house backing group, which performed on many of the label's big hits? So yes, a lot of the songwriters, a lot of the all of it was kept in-house. The songwriters, the song, the backing singers. I think even Martha Reeves at one point was actually a secretary, and she became a singer with her and the Vandellas. But yes, what was the name of Motown's in-house backing group that performed on many of the label's big hits? This is round 2, question 1. Stevie Wonder, obviously being... If you're watching this live on YouTube, you'll see Stevie Wonder there. Possibly one of my favourite live acts I've ever seen. But there you are. Round 2, question 3. Who provided the lead vocals on the Temptations hits, such as My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg? Yes, the Temptations went through many lineup changes over the years, but this is considered to be the classic 5. But which of those guys actually signed the lead vocals on My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg? Interesting fun fact, a lot of the records pumped out by Motown actually went through a series which was known as Quality Control, where the record execs and all would sit down and listen to each record and go, that's a hit, that's not. And it's actually interesting listening to the guys talking about My Girl and the people actually saying, no, that's not going to be a hit. And you're just looking at them going, what? How can you say that's not going to be a hit? But yes, who provided the lead vocals on the Temptations hits such as My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg? It's round 2, question 3. Round 2, question number 4. What was the name of the record label that Motown Records released their albums here and singles in the UK? So yeah, whilst Motown, they were releasing them under that label, but they were releasing them under a different name in the UK. It was called something Motown, and it's still known as that. In fact, I didn't want to let it away, but the original name of the record label, that was the original name. So certain people of a certain age will remember these. In fact, my copy of What's Going On by Marvin Gaye is the European UK copy. But what was the name of the record label that Motown Records released their albums and singles on in the UK? If you look at your answer sheets, it might actually ring a bell. That's all I'm going to say. So yes, round 2, question number 4. Round 2, question 5. Which artist first released the Motown hit Heard It Through the Grapevine in 1967? And Mom, Dad, if you're watching this, you'll probably remember the bet that was had between the two guys talking about who actually released the song first. But yes, which artist released the Motown hit Heard It Through the Grapevine in 1967? I'll give you a clue. It's not who you think it is. Alright, round 2, question 5. And your final one, round 2, question 6. What was the first single that actually get to number 1 in the US, released by the label in 1961? I can give you a clue again on this one. The artists were the Marvelettes, and they were the first group to actually get their single to number 1, released by the label itself. Well, that's round 2, question 6. But what was the first single to get to number 1 in the US, released by the label in 1961? Anyway, there's your lineup there of music questions all about the Motown label. Like I said, I was typing these out, listening to some of the great hits from them. But yes, who founded Motown Records in Detroit 1959? 2. What was the name of Motown's in-house backing group that performed on many of the label's greatest hits? 3. Who provided the lead vocals on the Temptations hits such as My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg? 4. What was the name of the record label that Motown Records released their albums and singles under in the UK? 5. Which artist released Motown's Heard It Through the Grapevine in 1967? And what was the first single to get to number 1, released by the label in 1961? I'll give you a few seconds to mull over those. Well, yes, I will encourage you to go back and listen, watch that documentary. It's absolutely brilliant. Definitely worth a watch. Anyway, that's your music round. If you have any ideas for any quiz questions, quiz rounds, by all means, do let me know. At the moment, not saying I'm struggling with the writer's block about this, but I have actually reached out to people and asked them for help on this. Trying to stick to the same format every week. But yeah, if you've any feedback or any kind of ideas for quizzes or rounds, I might start doing specialty ones coming forward into the future. Might do even 2 a week as we kind of go back into lockdown and there's no pubs open. But yes, do let me know. Give us a line on any of the different social media channels here: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can as well. Anyway, let's move on to the next round, round 3, and it's all about movies, and it's all about movie locations. I'm going to give you the 6 famous movie locations, but where were they really filmed? That's what I'm asking you this week. Where were these movie locations actually filmed? Okay, some of these might surprise you, some of these you might know definitely. Super, you'll definitely know this first one. Here we go, round 3, question number 1. Hobbiton and Lord of the Rings. This is round 3, question number 1. World famous tourist attraction has definitely put this particular location on the map as a place of cinematic, how can I say? Well, definitely as a center for film locations. It's one of the most famous film locations, and put the whole country on the map. But in which country was Hobbiton, Lord of the Rings? Where was that filmed? That's an easy one. Start you off here. For all you movie buffs out there, you should totally get that one. Even if you don't know, you should know. Well, even if you haven't seen it, you should know. But anyway, here's the next one. Round 3, question number 2. Tatooine, Star Wars: A New Hope. Okay, the famous twin sunsets there. From the very first Star Wars movie all the way back in 1977. The location shoot actually began the year before in March 1976, I believe, and was actually the very first scenes of Star Wars ever filmed. They brought a crew out there, and they're normally quite calm weather. They actually got hit by a rainstorm, believe it or not, which delayed filming. The location is still there, where the homestead is, the Lars homestead from the very first movie, and you can check that out. You can actually go on tours of it. But where in the real world is Tatooine from Star Wars A New Hope? Round 3, question 2. Round 3, question 3. The car chase sequence from The Italian Job. Yes, it's in Italy, but where in Italy is it? And it's supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Interestingly, Noel Coward, who's in the movie, they actually filmed the jail sequences in Kilmainham Jail in Dublin because Noel Coward was a tax exile. He couldn't go back to the UK to film those scenes, which were meant to be at Wandsworth Prison. But where in Italy did the famous car chase sequence take place? There's a giant roof space where they made it. But yes, do check it out. So yes, round 3, question 3. Round 3, question 4. New York City, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. This is a bit of a weird one. This is a bit of a strange one. It's basically... It's probably the last place you'd ever think of filming New York City. That's all I can tell you about this one. And there's a couple of very interesting YouTube documentaries about where and how they filmed this. But yes, the reason for locating here is because budgetary reasons. But yes, round 3, question 4. New York City, Superman 4, Quest for Peace. Let's just put it this way. The budget was literally like a quarter of the budget of the first one. And it was the last time Christopher Reeve would ever perform as Superman. Gene Hackman is actually in it as well, believe it or not. He actually returned to play Lex Luthor in it. But that's probably where all the budget went. Anyway, round 3, question 5. The Normandy beaches of Saving Private Ryan. Where was these harrowing opening shots of the famous storming of the beaches? Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg. But yes, Normandy beaches. Where were these filmed? Round 3, question 5. And the final one here, again, this is the inspiration I got from this because round 3, question 6, Hue, Vietnam, the battle sequences in Full Metal Jacket. In fact, again, all of it was filmed in this one location. So round 3, question 6, Hue, Vietnam, the city of Hue was the scene of a very ferocious city battle. Like normally a lot of people think of the Vietnam War of being fought in jungles, but this particular battle was fought street to street, house to house in the city of Hue. But where did they film the sequences in Full Metal Jacket? Again, there's fantastic sources on YouTube about this, and I actually was watching a short documentary on YouTube about them making this particular movie in this particular location. Again, it might surprise you, but round 3, question 6, Hue, Vietnam, Full Metal Jacket. And there's a roundup there of questions regarding film locations. So, where were the actual real-life locations of all these films, which I'm going to list? So Hobbiton, Lord of the Rings, Tatooine, Star Wars A New Hope, the car chase sequence in The Italian Job, New York City, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, the Normandy beaches, Saving Private Ryan, and Hue, Vietnam, Full Metal Jacket, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Alright, so that might get you scratching your head, but yes, like I said, it's very interesting. I'm a big film geek, and when I go abroad I always tend to go on, I will always say if there was a famous movie made there, and I'll always go out of my way to find it. London was a wash. with places that you could go and do that with, as well as, like, I've done it in Vienna with The Third Man, Salzburg, Sound of Music. I've done it with various places in, like, Glasgow, and I've even drank in the bar. the train spotting one where the guy throws the glass behind him to beg me. I've actually drank in that. Anyway, enough of my rambling. 3 rounds down, we're moving on to round number 4. And if you play my quizzes, I tend to keep them to the same kind of themes. But here we go. History and politics is round number 4 this week. No themes with this one, though. It's just a general, kind of more politics than history, really. But we'll fire on anyway. Round 4, question number 1. So, Jacinda Ardern won her re-election as Prime Minister of New Zealand this week in a huge landslide. But for which political party does she represent there? Big up to my buddy Jez from New Zealand, who is loyal watcher. And he explains to me the electoral process in New Zealand. It's all proportional representation, but it also has like a 2-tiered way of voting. You vote for your party as well, and then you vote for the representative. So it has so it depends. Fringe parties can get in, and if certain parties get over the threshold of like 5%, they get to nominate seats. So it's a unicameral parliament. Only has one chamber, and the upper house voted itself out of existence. But yes, Jacinda Ardern won a re-election as Prime Minister of New Zealand this week, but for which political party does she represent? And with a country with very, very few deaths of COVID, you look at her leadership and you kind of, we're all jealous, New Zealand. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, round 4, question 2. Soronbay Jeenbekov resigned as president of which Central Asian country this week amid mass anti-government protests? Bit of an obscure one, I know, but again, big news this week, I guess. But round 4, question 2. Soronbay Jeenbekov resigned as president of which Central Asian country this week? It's one of the stands, I'll let you know that. But the presidential candidate Joe Biden claimed to have ancestry. He actually visited whilst he was vice president a couple of years back, and went to the local pub where his ancestors are from and met a lot of colourful characters around there. But yes, he's from this actual part of Ireland. The pub is still there, and he's doing, like, we know Ballyporeen is the home of Ronald Reagan. New Ross in, I think it's Wexford or Waterford, is the ancestral home of John F. Kennedy. And yes, a lot of Irish-American roots with various presidents who always claim Irish ancestry to get the big Irish-American vote. 30 million Americans claim Irish ancestry, and Joe Biden is one of them. But which part of Ireland does US presidential candidate Joe Biden claim to be from? Round 4, question 4. What is the Roman term for present-day Scotland? So round 4, question 4. You might know this. It's a term. It's a romanticized term for the region. It's not actually specific to any particular part. But round 4, question 4. What was the Roman term for present-day Scotland? I think they give it to like a kind of a region in part of Britain, and it's kind of south part of it. But what was the Roman term for present-day Scotland? Round 4, question 5. In 1918, Finland declared its independence from which country? Yes, the independence movement came about from the fallout of a particular event in history. But yes, 1918, I'll give you a clue, probably World War I would be a massive outlier of what that would be. But in 1918, Finland declared its independence from which particular country? That's round 4. Question number 5. And moving on to the final history politics question, round 4, question number 6. In 1870, the Third Republic was declared in France after which leader was deposed? Yes, this considered to be the beginning of the Belle Epoque era of France, but the previous leader actually instigated huge reforms and actually the present day Paris, the way you see it, is all because of this one particular guy. But yes, 1870, the Third Republic was declared in France, after which leader was deposed. I think we're on the fifth one now. So yes, after the French Revolution, the French governments always tend to tear up their constitutions and start again, really. But there we go. Round 4, question 6. Third French Republic was declared after which leader was deposed. And there is your roundup there of history and politics questions. Jacinda Ardern won re-election of Prime Minister of New Zealand this week, but which political party does she represent? 2. Soronbay Jembekov was resigned as president of which Central Asian country this week? 3. What part of Ireland did US presidential candidate Joe Biden claim to have ancestry? 4. What was the Roman term for present-day Scotland? 5. In 1918, Finland declared its independence from which country? And 6. In 1870, the Third Republic was declared in France, after which leader was deposed in that same year? Alright, that's 4 down, 4 to go. It's just gone 8:30. We're exactly halfway through the quiz. Don't forget, if you want to shout out at any point, do let us know. And do give us a follow, Harbourside for loads of different amazing programs and amazing events and amazing things that we're going to be doing with the station here and the entertainment complex. Don't forget, you can drop us a line, like I said, and drop in at any point. If you want to get a show on the radio, by all means, let us know. We're always looking for new presenters. And if you have any feedback or anything, do let us know. Get in touch with us, info@harbourside.radio.com. We're opening up for a lot of different advertising opportunities for local businesses around the area if you want to get your name out there. And like I said, our listener figures have actually, they're very... It's going to be a sports round. This round is going to test your knowledge of football. Yep, I know it's one of those rounds that people either love or they hate, but round 5, all about football. But which teams? I'm going to show you 6 football teams from around the world. Which league do they play in? It's that simple. Let's see. You might know these from doing your football accumulators at the weekend, but here we go. Round 5, question number 1. Which league do Fulham currently play their football in as of the 2020-2021 season? So where do Fulham, or which league do Fulham play their football at the moment? Fantastic little ground there down in Craven Cottage, right by the Thames. Yes, it's definitely one of those classic vintage football grounds, I think designed by Archibald Leach. But yes, where do Fulham actually play their football? Which league do they play their football? Round 5, question number 1. Round 5, question 2. Bolton Wanderers. Yes, once mainstays of the Premier League. But where do Bolton now play? In which tier of the English football pyramid do they lie in? That's round 5, question 2. It's been a bit of a fall from grace for a team that was up there at one point. But round 5, question 2. Bolton Wanderers. Where are they playing in the league right now? Round 5, question 3. North of the border, here we're looking at Scotland and Hearts of Midlothian, otherwise known as Hearts, the big Edinburgh team who play the big derby game against Hibs, Hibernian club. But in which league do Hearts currently play their football? That's round 5, question 3. Heart of Midlothian or Hearts? Round 5, question 3. Moving on. Round 5, question 5, moving abroad. We're talking Italy, we're talking Juventus, possibly the biggest team, or the most successful team. They themselves are based in Turin, but which league do they play in? What is the name of the league that they play in? I've given you 4 options there, but which of those is the right one? It's round 5, question 5, Juventus. Arguably their biggest signing there, Cristiano Ronaldo, still not ladding up. Definitely a GOAT. Amazing considering he's still playing top flight football. If you consider like Wayne Rooney, he's not. Playing for Derby County at the moment. Round 5, question 5, Juventus. And your final one, BSC Young Boys. Round 5, question 6. You see these guys cropping into the Champions League now and then, but which domestic league do they play their football in? Interestingly, BSC Young Boys, Juventus actually as a translation basically means the same thing. The young lads, Juventus youth team. But BSC Young Boys, which league do they play their football in? That's the final sports question this week. And there's your roundup there. Round 5, question 1, Fulham, Bolton, Hearts, QPR, Juventus and Young Boys. Where do they play? Which leagues do they play their football? It's one of those things, like I was saying in an interview there last week, people really hate sports fans. Either love them or they hate them. I'm a massive sports fan, so I'm going to include it in every quiz I do. But yes, don't forget to tune in to Sports Point, presented by myself and Sir McDonald, every Tuesday night at 7, where we interview local sports figures and discuss the goings-on of football and hurling and GIA and all sorts of other sports at home and abroad, so don't forget to tune into that. Anyway, moving on to the next round. Round 6. Yes, it's a themed round. Infamous disasters. Yep. Next 6 questions, all centering around very infamous mishaps. But yes, round 6, question number 1. What was the name of the space shuttle that broke up over the Earth whilst attempting re-entry in 2003? This was the second major disaster for the space shuttle program. STS-107 was the mission, and it actually carried aboard it the first ever Israeli astronaut, Ilan Ramon. But what was the name of the space shuttle that broke up over the Earth whilst attempting re-entry in 2003? Shuttle was eventually retired in 2011, considering it was possibly the most complex machine ever built, but fraught with problems given the fact that it killed 14 people. And Americans have only returned to space after 9-year absence there this year. Round 6, question 1. The name of that shuttle that broke up over the Earth in 2003. Round 6, question 2. What was the name of the location of the worst US nuclear meltdown in 1969? Which actually, ironically enough, it coincided with the release of a movie called The China Syndrome, which starred, Michael Douglas, Lemon, what's his name? It's gonna wreck my head, this. I hate when this happens when Barbarella, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, watch the movie The China Syndrome basically predicted this, and it came out at the exact same time, which was really weird. But what was the name of the location of the worst US nuclear meltdown in 1969? Jack Lemmon, Jane Fonda, and Michael Douglas. It's a really good movie. It holds up. But round 6, question 2. Let's just say Chernobyl, way worse. But this was a big one that happened in 1979. Where was it? Round 6, question 3. More recent, this one. What was the name of the cruise ship that ran aground off the coast of the Isola del Giallo in Tuscany in 2012? Yes, the captain famously, or infamously, ran the ship into some rocks whilst trying to perform a salute to the island. The ship sank, 36 people lost their lives, and he ran away. Didn't stay on to the end. What was the name of the cruise ship that ran aground? What was the name of that particular ship that ran aground off the coast of the Isola del Giallo, Tuscany, 2012? Next question, round 6, question 4. At which London Underground tube station did the disastrous 1987 ticket hall fire take place? There's a memorial to it there, and it's one of those stations which I actually used to commute to when I was working in London itself, and seeing the memorial. A very, very tragic accident which happened. In fact, it led to safety measures being introduced in the London Underground, such as the abolition of smoking, because that's what caused it. It was like a lit match, caused the entire fire. But round 6, question 4. At which London Underground tube station did the disastrous 1987 ticket hall fire take place? Round 6, question 5. What was the name of the ship that rescued the survivors of the Titanic sinking in 1912? Yes, Titanic has come up a few times in the quiz. I guess because it's one of those disasters which was quite close to home, given the fact that the ship was built here in Ireland, in Belfast, and captain was E.J. Smith of the White Star Line. The disaster took place on the night of April the 14th, around about 12. The ship took 2 hours to sink. There was only 800 survivors, with 1,500 lost and losing their lives. Very, very poignant. Ironically enough, it was one of those disasters that it kind of faded from memory for a while, and then actually really came back, and was now more popular than ever because of the movie in '97. But yes, what was the name of the ship that rescued the survivors of the Titanic sinking in 1912? And the final disaster question here: what was the name of the 2005 hurricane that caused a record $125 billion worth of damage in the US, including a number of fatalities all the way down in the South Gulf of Mexico there? But what was the name of that particular hurricane? I actually remember being in I was in that part of America that year, and I think we missed the hurricane by like a week or so. But what was the name of that hurricane in 2005 that caused a record $125 billion worth of damage in the US? And there's your roundup of questions there regarding infamous disasters. But yes, what was the name of the space shuttle that broke up over the Earth whilst attempting re-entry in 2003? 2, what was the name of the location of the US's worst nuclear meltdown in 1979? 3, what was the name of the cruise ship that ran aground off the coast of Isola di Gallo in Tuscany in 2012? 4, at which London Underground tube station did the disastrous 1987 ticket hall fire take place? 5, what was the name of the ship that rescued the survivors of the Titanic sinking in 1912? And 5, what was the name of the hurricane in 2015 that caused a record $125 billion worth of damage to the US? A bit of a clue, if you're a Simpsons fan, it is referenced in one of the episodes regarding that nuclear meltdown. So if you know your Simpsons, I think it's the episode, the Homer, where Homer averts a nuclear meltdown, and Mr. Burns mentions it, so that might give you a clue. Anyway, let's move on to our penultimate round this evening. And I have to give a bit of a nod to Becca Thompson, who actually gave me the idea for this. Famous advertising slogans. I was having a little bit of a writer's block tonight, and I asked her, do you have any idea for a round? And she did say, well, she works in advertising, so why not do one about famous adverts? So yes, I'm going to give you 6 very famous advertising slogans. All you have to do is match them to their particular company. Just shows you how brainwashed we are to products and product placement. But anyway, here we go. Round 7, question number 1. The lighter way to enjoy chocolate. Bear in mind, some of these they're not used anymore. But round 7, question 1. The lighter way to enjoy chocolate. Round 7, question 2. It won't let you down. I can tell there's so many of you at home looking at the answer sheets, trying to do that connection there. But yes, it won't let you down is the slogan for which round 7, question 3, the makeup of makeup artists. Can't say I really use any of their products myself, but you might do back at home. But anyway, round 7, question 3, the makeup of makeup artists. Bear in mind, no companies are endorsing any of the products or doing any endorsements on this YouTube channel or on this Facebook stream on Harbourside. But yes, if you do want to advertise with us, do let us know. Round 7, question 4. Loves the jobs you hate. It's round 7, question 4. So which product loves the jobs you hate? Moving on to the next one. Don't really need to linger on these because they're quite, you either know them or you don't. This is more of a company motto rather than a slogan, but I threw it in here anyway. But round 7, question 5. Never knowingly undersold. This would be a big advantage for people who live in the UK, but there is none of these in Northern Ireland or the Republic. But if you live in the UK, you will get this straight off the bat. Round 7, question 5. Never knowingly undersold. It's a beloved chain, I can tell you that. And finally, round 7, question 6. Again, I don't think they use this slogan anymore, but it was big in the 90s. Reassuringly expensive. It's round 7, question 6. Reassuringly expensive. Had a great set of ads, which kind of evoked the movies of Jean de Florette. You know, those kind of like French. That'll probably give you a clue. Round 7, question 6. Reassuringly expensive. And there's your roundup there of questions regarding advertising slogans. The lighter way to enjoy chocolate. It won't let you down. The makeup of makeup artists. Loves the jobs you hate. Never knowingly undersold and reassuringly expensive. All famous advertising slogans, all you have to do is link them to the brand. Big thanks to Becca who came up with that idea. Yes, I think I have done one of those before, but I think that was, it was good. It's always a good idea to drag it up again and basically unlimited. Anyway, this is the final round tonight. Round number 8. And again, suffering from a really big bit of writer's block this week because I just done a quiz there on Friday for the One World guys, and I do try to keep it fresh. But round 8, geography, large things. So this is quite of a list of superlatives of quite large geographical things out there. That's all I can come up with this week. I've done flags, I've done capital cities, I've done rivers, I've done mountains. I was like, right, big things. Anyway, once you finish tonight's quiz, all you have to do is hit submit. You will get your scores, but do stick about for the answers at the end. But anyway, round 8, question number 1. What's considered to be the largest lake in the world? Again, when it comes to geography questions, a lot of these can be contentious. A lot of people do come up to me and saying, technically that is, but technically it's not that. And there's multiple variations of how you can interpret this, but what is considered to be the largest lake in the world? That's round 8, question 1. All I can say is basically my decision is final on this. I did the research to the best I could, but my decision is final. What is considered to be the largest lake in the world? Round 8, question number 2. What's considered to be the largest desert in the world? And again, it's one of those things. It's contentious in the sense of like, what do you mean desert? Like, there's various types of desert, and what could be considered a desert. I think that's giving you a clue of what you think it is. It probably isn't what it is. All right. But round 8, question 2. I'm going with this one because it's the one I've looked up on Wikipedia. Don't say that. Anyway, round 8, question 2. What's considered to be the largest desert in the world? Round 8, question 3. What is the largest continent in the world? Again, if you have a big map, it's pretty obvious. But what is the largest continent in the world? And again, does it constitute a continent when it comes to, like, you know what I'm talking about? It can vary because it could be a massive landmass. But anyway, round 8, question 3. What is the largest continent in the world? Round 8, question 4. What's the largest island in the world? Again, define an island. You know, technically, a continent is a giant island. It's floating in the sea, you know, because the world is, like, you know, mostly water anyway. But what is the largest island in the world? What is considered to be the largest island in the world? I can tell you that Ireland actually comes in number 18 or 19. We're in the top 20. Yay. Right, question 4. What's the largest island in the world? Right, question 5. Where in the world are the highest waterfalls in the world? The Angel Falls. Where are they? In which country are they? I'll give you a clue. They're in South America somewhere, but in which country? Where in the world? In which country are the highest waterfalls in the world? The Angel Falls. Don't forget, last question coming up. All you have to do is hit submit. You'll get your scores. But here we go. Round 8, question 6. What's the longest river in the world? And again, that's contentious because, you know, how does one define that? Because, you know, rivers are, not saying they're hard to measure lengthwise, but I'm going with this answer. I'm going with this particular one. What is the longest river in the world? So that's round 8, question 6. Wrap those up. There we go. So what's considered to be the largest lake in the world? What's considered to be the largest desert, the largest continent, the largest island? Where's the highest waterfalls in the world? And what's the longest river in the world? Anyway, that's it for Big Nerd Pub Quiz this week. How did you get on? Do let me know. Do get in touch. Give us a follow on all the different social media channels there. Harbourside Radio or Harbourside Rad at Twitter, because they only have a character limit on how long our name can be, which is quite annoying. But then again, I'm not that fussed on Twitter. A lot of anger. A lot of anger. But do get in touch with us at some point during the week. Do let us know what you think of the quiz. Don't forget, fantastic shows coming up of our ever-expanding repertoire. Our cabal, our team, our squad of presenters, bringing you fantastic programs. And given the actual nature of the lockdown at the moment, we're all presenting our shows, or most of us are presenting our shows remotely, which is cool. Don't forget to drop us a line or email us at info@Harbourside Radio if you want to get in touch with us or advertise with us. Alright, so here's the moment you've all been waiting for. The answers for tonight's quiz, assuming you haven't cheated, but then again, I trust you don't do that. Anyway, round 1, let's have a look at this week's answers. So the Flaming Lips were the guys who did that concert in Bubbles there this week in Oklahoma City, presenting a possibly dystopian future of what gigs will be like. Don't say I fancy it myself. October the 2nd was the wettest day on record, apparently. So yeah, I think it was. From what I remember, I was inside all day, so yes. LA Lakers picked up the NBA championship this week. Charizard was that super rare Pokemon card that went for auction for £173,000 this week. Nicola Adams and Katia Jones are the first same-sex dancing couple on Strictly Come Dancing this year. And Nottingham is the place where that Banksy mural appeared. The Motown questions. Berry Gordy was the founder of Motown Records. The Funk Brothers were the Motown backing group. David Ruffin sang the lead vocals on Ain't Too Proud to Beg and My Girl for the Temptations. Tamla is the name. So Tamla Motown is the name that Motown Records were released in the UK as. Gladys Knight and the Pips. Now, the Miracles actually recorded Heard It Through the Grapevine first. But Gladys Knight and the Pips actually released it first. And then it was Marvin Gaye that got the hit with it. But Gladys Knight and the Pips actually got to number 2 in the US charts with it. So it was a kind of mini hit for them too. Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes was the very first number 1 by Motown as well. Those locations, so Hobbiton's in New Zealand, Tatooine is in Tunisia, Turin is where the famous Italian job chase happened. Milton Keynes stood in for New York City. Who would have thought? In Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Ireland, it's actually all the way down in, I think, either Wexford or Wicklow. I think they filmed the landing sequences for Normandy beaches. And yes, East London, Beckton in East London is where they filmed Vietnam in Full Metal Jacket. Jacinda Ardern represents the New Zealand Labour Party. Kyrgyzstan is where those political unrest is happening. Joe Biden is actually relatives are from Carlingford in County Louth, believe it or not. Caledonia is the ancient Roman name for Scotland. Russia is the country that Finland declared independence from in 1918. And Napoleon III was the leader, deposed in 1870, paving the way for the Third French Republic. So, those football teams. Fulham play their football in the Premiership. Bolton Wanderers play all the way down in League 2 in the 4th division of English football. Hearts don't actually play in the Premiership anymore, the Scottish Premiership. They're now down in the Championship. Who is the EFL champions? Oh yes, QPR in the EFL Championship, Juventus in the Serie A, and Young BSC, Young Boys, play in the Swiss Super League. The shuttle Columbia was the space shuttle that broke up over the Earth in 2003. 3 Mile Island was the nuclear disaster, or the mini nuclear meltdown in America. The Costa Concordia was the ship that capsized in 2012. King's Cross, the site of the tragic fire. The Carpathia was the boat that rescued the Titanic survivors. And Hurricane Katrina, who could forget, was the massive disaster in the US. So, those advertising slogans: lighter way to enjoy chocolate, Maltesers. Sure, won't let you down. Max Factor, the makeup of makeup artists. Mr. Muscle, loves the jobs you hate. Never knowingly undersold, John Lewis. And Stella Artois, reassuringly expensive. And your final questions. So the biggest lake in the world apparently is the Caspian Sea, although people do say technically it doesn't have a seabed. But yes, apparently the biggest lake in the world is actually the Caspian Sea. Antarctica is the world's largest desert. Yes, even though it's not the desert you're thinking of, it is considered to be a tundra desert. So yes, Antarctica, largest desert in the world. Largest continent is obviously Asia. Greenland is considered to be the largest island in the world. Australia technically is a continent, so it becomes a continent itself. So Greenland, largest island in the world. Venezuela is the location of Angel Falls, the tallest waterfalls in the world. And the Nile is considered to be the longest river. All again next week, Sunday, 25th of October, 8 p.m. on Harbourside on YouTube, on Facebook, on all the different social medias. Do get in touch. Live Harbourside Radio's 25th of October, 8 p.m. I'll see you all again next week. Have a very safe week. Take care of yourselves and have a great night.